I was in my late 20s when I realized my inner child never got to just be a kid, never got to have fun, never got to just exist without managing everyone else's emotions. And once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it. Welcome back to A Lot to Grow Through. I'm Artist. This is where we grow through it, not just go through it. And today we're talking about reparenting, which sounds soft in therapy speak, but it's actually the hardest, most uncomfortable work you'll do. So let's get into it. Here's what nobody tells you about this work. It's not about forgiving your parents. It's about realizing you have the power to give yourself what they couldn't or didn't. And that's heavy because it means looking at what you didn't get, and that hurts. For me, it was realizing I never got to just be a kid. I was too busy surviving, managing, performing. And as an adult, I had this moment of, wait, I can just go back and give myself those experiences now. Not literally. I'm not going to Disney World to heal my inner child or whatever, but I can give myself permission to play, to have fun without guilt, to do things that little version of me wanted but never got. That's reparenting. And the tough truth is, if you're waiting for someone else to do it for you, you'll be waiting forever. Your parents aren't going to suddenly become the parents you needed. Your partner can't heal your childhood wounds, and your friends can't fill that void. You have to just do it. So let's talk about what this actually is, because I know reparenting sounds vague. Reparenting is the process of giving yourself what you didn't receive as a child. It's about becoming your own good parent, meeting your own needs, validating your own emotions, setting healthy boundaries for yourself. It's not about blaming your parents or dwelling on what went wrong. It's about recognizing I didn't get what I needed then, and I can give it to myself now. And that requires looking at what was missing. For some people, it was emotional validation. Your feelings were dismissed, minimized, or punished. So now, as an adult, you don't know how to feel your feelings. You don't trust them. You shut them down. For others, it's boundaries. Maybe your boundaries were constantly crossed. Maybe you weren't allowed to have boundaries. So now you don't know how to say no. You people please. You overextend. For others, it's basic needs: affection, safety, consistency, unconditional love, things that should have been givens but weren't. Reparenting means identifying what you didn't get and then actively giving it to yourself now. And that's harder than it sounds. I first encountered this concept through a self reflection moment. I was in my late 20s and I had this realization that hit me hard. My inner child never got to fully experience being just a kid, never got to just have fun. That sounds simple, but it was profound for me because once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. I started thinking back on all the things I missed out on, all the experiences I didn't get to have because I had to grow up too fast, because I was busy managing other people's emotions, because I was surviving instead of thriving. And then I had this second realization. As an adult, I have the power to get those moments back. That's what made me willing to explore reparenting. It wasn't some abstract therapy concept for me. It was this longing, this deep longing for experiences that I wasn't able to have as a child. And I realized I can give myself that now. I can fulfill what was missing. Did the concept immediately resonate? Absolutely. It clicked. I didn't have the language for it at first. I learned the terminology along the way. Inner child work, reparenting, all that came later. But the feeling, the knowing that I needed to do this, that was immediate. What really shifted everything for me was understanding I have the power to make things happen as an adult. I'm not a kid anymore waiting for someone to give me permission to be happy, to have fun, to experience joy. I can do that for myself now. So what does this actually look like? Because I know inner child work can sound woo-woo or overly abstract. Here's what I did. I connected with that younger version of myself. For me, it was journaling, asking, what did that kid need that they didn't get? And what came up was a simple but devastating creative outlet: affection, permission to just be. I visualized myself as a kid, and honestly, I saw a sad kid. A kid who was creative but had an outlet that was an escape. A kid who needed hugs and affection and validation. A kid who just wanted to exist without having to perform or manage everyone else's emotions. That hurt to see. And here's what I need you to understand. When I started doing this work, I cried a lot. Both inner and outer cries, if you know what I mean. It was heavy. It was uncomfortable. That discomfort is part of it. If you're doing this work and it feels too easy, you're probably not doing it. Real reparenting means sitting with the pain you've been avoiding. It means looking at what you needed and didn't get. And it means becoming the person who gives that to yourself now. Nobody's coming to save you. You have to save yourself. So here's an exercise you can try. Close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, picture yourself as a kid, whatever age comes to mind first. Ask yourself, what is that child feeling? What does that child need? What would you say to them if you could talk to them now? And don't force anything. Just notice what comes up. And if it's emotional, good. That means you're connecting to something real. There are 4 main areas where reparenting shows up. And I'll be honest with you, all 4 were hard for me. All 4 required me to confront things I've been avoiding. But I built strong foundations in all of them. And now it's just how I live. 1 is emotional validation. This is about learning to feel your feelings without judgment, without shutting them down, without minimizing them. If you grew up in an environment where your emotions were dismissed, ignored, or punished, you probably learned to suppress them. You learned that feelings are inconvenient, that they're too much, that they're not valid. Reparenting means teaching yourself my feelings are valid. I'm allowed to feel them. I don't have to justify them. For me, this looked like letting myself cry without apologizing, letting myself be angry without immediately trying to fix it, letting myself feel sad without needing a good reason. It felt weird at first, kind of uncomfortable, like I was doing something wrong. But over time, it became natural. And now I don't question my emotions. I just feel them. And pillar 2 is setting healthy boundaries. If your boundaries were crossed as a child, if you weren't allowed to say no, if your privacy was invaded, if your autonomy was disregarded, you probably struggle with boundaries now. You might not know how to set them. You might feel guilty when you do, or you might think boundaries are mean or selfish. Reparenting means teaching yourself, I'm allowed to have boundaries. My needs matter, and I don't have to sacrifice myself to keep the peace. For me, this was one of the hardest pillars because setting boundaries meant disappointing people. It meant saying no. It meant prioritizing myself even when it made others uncomfortable. But what I learned was boundaries aren't walls, they're invitations. When you have healthy boundaries, you're saying, this is what I need to show up well in this relationship. This is what keeps me safe and healthy. And if someone can't respect that, they're not your person. Pillar 3, meeting your needs. If you grew up believing your needs didn't matter or that meeting them was selfish, you probably struggle to prioritize yourself now. You might wait for others to meet your needs. You might feel guilty for having needs at all, or you might believe you have to earn the right to have them met. Reparenting means teaching yourself, I have needs, they're not negotiable, and I'm allowed to meet them. For me, this looked like doing the things my inner child wanted, creative projects, playful activities, rest without productivity. It also looked like putting myself first, not in a selfish way, but in a, I'm the only one who's going to live my life, so I better start treating myself like I matter way. I don't wait for others to give me what I need. I give it to myself, and that's power. And pillar 4, unconditional self-regard. This is the big one. This is about learning to love yourself without conditions, without needing to earn it, without performance or perfection. If you grew up believing love was conditional, that you had to be good enough, achieve enough, be enough, you're probably struggling with that now. You might tie your worth to your productivity. You might believe you're only valuable if you're useful. You might think love has to be earned. Reparenting means teaching yourself, I am worthy just because I exist. I don't have to earn love. I don't have to prove my value. This was the foundation of everything. Because once I understood that I mattered, not because of what I did, but because I was, everything else fell into place. Now let's talk about self-compassion, because this is where a lot of people get stuck. Self-compassion isn't about being soft. It's not about letting yourself off the hook or avoiding accountability. Self-compassion is about being honest and kind at the same time. It's saying, yeah, that was hard and I'm still here and I'm doing the work. It's not toxic positivity. It's not everything happens for a reason. It's just this happened. I didn't choose it. And now I'm choosing what comes next. Self-compassion became an overpour of self-love. I started putting myself first, not in a selfish way, but in a way that recognized I'm the only one living my life and no one else is going to prioritize me if I don't. And what's interesting about it is that I find it easier to have compassion for myself than for others. I know that's the opposite of what most people experience. Most people are harder on themselves than they are on others. But once I learned to love myself, it became natural. I don't question whether I deserve compassion. I just give it to myself. And that's not arrogance, that's self-preservation. If you struggle with self-compassion, here's what I want you to try. Talk to yourself the way you would talk to a child you love. Not harsh, not critical, not demanding, kind, patient, loving. Because that child is still inside you, and they deserve the love and care you're finally able to give. So what's different now? What's changed since I started reparenting myself? Honestly, everything is better. I'm more peaceful, I'm more authentic, I'm more stable. I don't slip back into old patterns the way I used to. And when I do catch myself falling into people pleasing or boundary crossing, I notice it immediately and course correct. I don't question whether my needs matter. I don't feel guilty for taking up space. I don't wait for permission to prioritize myself. That didn't happen overnight. It took years and it was uncomfortable. It was emotionally draining, but it was worth it because on the other side of this work, I'm not the same person. I'm healed. I'm whole. I'm more me. Reparenting is a process. It's not something you do once and you're done. It's ongoing. It's layered. It's uncomfortable. You're going to have moments where you slip back into old patterns, where you people please even though you know better, when you dismiss your own feelings even though you're trying not to. And that's normal because healing isn't linear. You're not going to get it perfect, and that's okay. The goal isn't perfection. The goal is progress. The goal is catching yourself faster, noticing when you're falling back into old habits and choosing differently more often than not. And over time, these new patterns become your default. The work becomes less work and more just how you live. But it takes time, it takes consistency, it takes compassion. So here's what I want you to know. Reparenting is uncomfortable, it's heavy, it's going to bring up things you've been avoiding, and it's worth it. Because on the other side of this work, you're not the same person. You're healed, you're more developed, you're more whole, you're more you. You won't be the same, you'll be better. And here's what's possible through this work. You'll stop waiting for others to meet your needs. You'll set boundaries without guilt. You'll feel your feelings without shame. You'll love yourself without conditions. You'll show up authentically in relationships. And you'll stop performing and start being. That's what's on the other side. And it's worth every uncomfortable moment. Even hard conversation with yourself, every tear, every realization. It's worth it. So here's the one thing I want you to remember from this episode. Treat yourself as if you were your own child. Not harsh, not critical, not demanding. Kind, patient, loving. That's the work. That's reparenting. You're not just healing from what happened. You're becoming the person you can give yourself what you needed all along. And that's powerful. If this episode resonated with you, I want to hear from you. Share your questions, your stories, your reflections. You can submit them in writing form or as a voice message by emailing letters@alottogrowthrough.com. I read and listen to every single one. Visit the podcast website at alottogrowthrough.com. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share. This podcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts. And always remember, healing isn't linear and you're doing better than you think. I'll see you next week.